Welcome to Easy Maths. In this lesson, we're going to look at the area of partial variation. And let me say that partial variation involves equations of the following forms. For example, we can have y is equals to k plus lx. Now, this implies that y is partly constant, or is partly just a number that doesn't change, and y varies partly as x. That means there's another variable x which is influencing the values of y. And that one also is attached to another constant L. Or partial variation can have this particular form where we have P is equals to KQ plus LQ squared, where we say that P varies partly as Q. So P is influenced by values of Q. Now that one is attached to a constant and is also influenced partly as Q squared. So there is a Q and Q squared. That Q squared happens to be another term. And that means when you have partly as q and partly as q squared, means we have two terms. Like we also had in the first case, partly constant and varies partly as x, it meant or implied two terms. Again, we can have it in this particular form, a is equals to k over b plus lb cubed, where we say that a varies inversely as b. The word inversely means or implies denominator. That means the b is a denominator, and that means above it is a constant k. So a varies inversely as b and also influenced by another value b cubed and partly as b cubed. That means that is another term there. Lastly, it can also appear like this: p is equals to kq plus l over q squared, wherein we say that p varies partly as q and inversely as q squared. Inverse again means q squared is a denominator as it appears here. With that, therefore, I'd like to elaborate this with a note and an example. 3 notes. The first thing is that there is the sign of proportionality sign. We don't have it in any of these equations. We normally don't have it. The other thing is that there is always an addition sign, because this implies the number of terms, because the value y or p or a or p are influenced by different terms. And that's why we have addition sign, because we have different terms. The other thing is k and l are constants, and you can use any letter to represent the constants. And lastly, the word partly often appears in questions that have to do with partial variation. Please look out for that. Majority of times when a question has to do with partial variation, the word partly will always appear. Like we have the word partly appearing here and again here, partly and again the word partly over here. We also have the word partly and all that. So that's popular. Let's go to an example. We have a question here. We were told that quantity y is partly constant and partly varies as x. Implies we have two terms, where the first term is a constant, the other one is a constant and a value of x. So the general equation should look like this. The general equation would be y is equals to k plus lx, which is very identical to the first one here. We're also told that if x is 4 when y is 0 and x is 12 when y is 40, find the equation connecting y and x. Now, k and l are constants in this equation here. Please notice that the variables are y and x. Again, we should also notice that there are two values for both x and y values, and the reason given those ones is because we're going to form simultaneous equations which are going to solve to get the values of k and l. And these are the values of x and y. When x was 4, y was 0. When x was 12, y was 40. We are told that information in the question there. Now, the simultaneous equations would look like this. The first one will come from this equation here, replacing the value of y to be 0 in this general equation and x to be 4 in that general equation would have this kind of a thing. Again, replacing the value of y to be 40 in this general equation and the value of x to be 12 in the general equation would have this kind of a thing here. And therefore, the simultaneous equations are this one. 0 is equals to k plus 40l. The other one is 0 is equals to k plus 4l, and the other one is 40 is equals to k plus 12l. We need to solve them, and therefore I'm going to subtract the second equation from the first one, after which I'm going to get negative 40 is minus 8l, which tells us that l is 5. And again, replacing the value of l in equation 1, l is 5, replacing in equation 1, we're going to get 0 is equals to k plus 4 in brackets 5. And that is 20, so k is negative 20. No wonder Now, the general equation will have the L replaced by 5 and the K replaced by or substituted by negative 20. This general equation. Therefore, the equation connecting y and x, which is the question we are told, find the equation connecting y and x, should appear like that. The general equation there, only that the K and L are replaced by the values we have obtained, which is this particular equation here. That's the desired answer. Please check out the next video for an additional example, which will cement the concept of partial variation further. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll appreciate it.